So just a quick overview of Mobble. So Mobble is a central place to house all your farm and livestock records, livestock and paddocks. There's two apps. There's one for your mobile phone and there's one for the computer. But the one on the phone is the one you'll be using out in the yards. It's the one you'll be updating online or offline. And the one back in the computer is the one where when you want a big screen and maybe you want to view a few more reports and graphs and things like that. So there's three main ways to view Mobble. You can view it the paddocks page, paddocks list, the mobs list, and the maps list. Now I'll start with the map, and we're doing a few core things. So we're recording things on livestock, things like mob movements. It's very easy to mob drag and make mob movements. And if I click on this mob, I can record a bunch of other things like mob actions, casualties, sales, and we're also doing a full livestock reconciliation on these reports. So recording casualties, natural increases, sales, and purchases as well. We're doing all your compliance records in there too. So these little red dots up the top means these sheep here are in withhold at the moment. And I can dive in here and view this mob's information and view the history. And I can see my brother Max has applied a drench action when these sheep were boxed up together. So they would have been boxed together at weaning time, and they all got drenched then with a vet jewel. And this is great for compliance because you're basically linking your products from your inventory to a treatment on a mob, and it follows that mob or that split mob or whatever forever through the property. So it's very traceable. It's much better than your paper records for compliance. And when you are getting audited, we have had that experience once or twice. It's much easier just to pull up the digital form of Mobble and show them these details. The auditors love it, and they see it as a way better than your paper record trail. Similarly with mobs, you can also apply actions to paddocks. Add a paddock action here as you click on a paddock, and that could be anything from spray records, harvest records. It could be WEC counts, all kinds of stuff, and you can kind of customize it to what you want it to be. And with a spray record, for instance, you can add products to that spray record for compliance and stuff like that, but also to track how much product you're using over time on that paddock or in the property. And if that paddock's in withhold, it'll pop up in red and warn you not to move livestock there. Now, yeah, Mobble's it's a full mapping system as well. So not only can you map out your paddocks and you've got your mob locations in those paddocks, you can also map out assets. So you can map out your tanks or your dams. You can map in hazards as well for OH&S, and pretty much anything you want. So my brother's put in a silo here and how much kilos of barley he put into that silo at a date as well. And also things like pipelines and lines and roads. So you can imagine, every single paddock having a water trough in there. It's pretty easy to forget where pipelines go, but put it into Mobble, at least you've got that backed up in the system, and it's going back to the water source, which would be a tanker way up on this hill. Like so. Add asset, or P1 for pipeline 1. Add asset, like that. Now, if we have a look, we've got this big blue line. So it can be a full GIS system. So if you've got new employees on the property or contractors or whoever it is, they can get access to the map and see exactly where they are and where they're going and know that information right there on the phone. So it's awesome for that. Other things, so great for grazing records. Quickly on grazing records, you can select paddock and you understand how many days grazed or rested that paddock's been. Also on stocking rates and stuff like that. If you want more information, you can go to the paddock info, and we get a full history of that paddock forever. Like it's all its mob movements, as well as things like DSE per hectare, the last 12-month averages, and stuff like that. And we also graph this out as well. So when you're looking at your sort of grazing pressures over a rolling 12-month period, we actually also show that in a rolling 12-month average graph line there as well. So you can sort of see which paddocks are performing better or worse as well. So I can go back to the paddock list here and see average DC per hectare, and I can actually order that and see which paddocks are producing the most stock. And yeah, obviously the Lucerne paddocks have improved pastures down in the flats. Yeah, we'd expect to see them having the highest rates of DSE. So you can choose your stocking unit, so LSU at AE, SU, and stuff like that. So other things you can do is property chat in there, there's tasks. So you can add geolocational tasks to the map. So you could say, put down weed locations on the map. So it's very easy to add a task and put a location in. Maybe it's weeds, maybe it's a hole in a fence, and add that task to that location. And assign it to people, never gets notified by that task. Rainfall, which is always great. You can see a comparison to years in the rainfall there. And you get summaries on all the records that you're doing, like purchases and sales and different things as well. Now, we also have a big reports page, which is your livestock reconciliation report. So end of financial year, this is super handy. You can see the change in livestock numbers over that year, and a breakdown of those livestock types, breeds, genders, and then breaking it down a bit further into classes and ages as well. Now I'm going to deep dive a little bit onto inventories right now, but basically there's three main things with inventories. We've made it easier to add product into your inventory via a batch, and the quantity is live. So as you add products to, say, drench records to your livestock, or vaccination records to your livestock, you'll see the quantity in your inventory drop, and reporting that over time as well. So you can see how much you've used over a year. Now, if I go down into this, into our 5-in-1 here, I can see the usage over time, last 12 months. This is the usage. You can see here, recently we had a big spike in usage. That would have been landmarking time for us. So you can see, how much you've used over different time periods as well. You can compare it to the previous year and work out how much that sort of cost as well, which is pretty cool. And now this has been just released for grain inventories as well. You can add in, say, your hay, and when you feed out hay to your cattle, it will drop down how much hay you've got left in the shed, and then sort of track how much hay you've been using over the year as well. And the way you do that, you basically select a mob or mobs. So if we're feeding these mobs, let's just say we've fed them all, apply action, and action type would be feeding, and we're adding a product, hay. Say we've fed out 4 bales of hay, and you apply that action, and you'll see back on the inventory that hay is now, it's dropped. So you got 96 units left. Thanks so much for your time. Cheers.